This is Sky News Today with Wilfred Frost. It's 10 o'clock. Your headlines. A UN official gives a damning assessment of indefinite sentences after a Sky News investigation into prisoners languishing in jail with no end in sight.
The psychological effects on the individuals would amount, in my opinion, depending on an individual assessment, to psychological torture.
Also this morning, breaking news. A suicide bomb attack in Pakistan kills more than 50 people celebrating the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. A teenage boy is charged with the murder of Eliane Andam, who was stabbed to death on her way to school in Croydon. The economic analysis that shows Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson have overseen the largest set of tax rises since the Second World War. No denial from Number 10 on reports the Prime Minister plans to put the brakes on councils imposing 20 miles per hour speed limits. And a baseball fan finds that emotional support is no excuse for trying to bring his alligator to a game. Let's start with that breaking news now. And at least 52 people have been killed and dozens injured in a suicide bomb in Pakistan. Officials say the bombing happened near a mosque in Mastung, a district in the province of Baluchistan. At the time, people were celebrating the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. Those are pictures of the scene taken very recently. And as said, at least 52 people have been killed, dozens more injured in that suicide bomb attack in Pakistan. We're going to have further reports on this story for you as and when we get them. Now, open-ended prisoner sentences were intended for the most serious and violent criminals, people who needed to be locked away to keep all of us safe. But should anyone be serving 11 years for stealing a mobile phone? The United Nations has condemned indeterminate sentences with no release date as psychological torture. They currently affect nearly 3,000 prisoners in England and Wales. Alice Porter has this report for us.
Behind these bars is a man who has been in prison for 11 years for stealing a mobile phone. Thomas White had multiple prior convictions for theft before he was eventually given an IPP sentence in 2012. He was meant to serve a minimum of 2 years, but his family say his time in prison indefinitely has left him with psychosis.
Thomas has spent almost half of his 11 years in segregation. Segregation is solitary confinement. So you are segregated from all other inmates. You are banged up 23 hours a day. You can exercise in a cage like an animal. My brother didn't hear voices or have hallucinations before this sentence. And in his psychiatrist's report says that the IPP has been the cause of his hallucinations and his voices.
Thomas has a 13-year-old son who has never met his father. The family say the prisons have never approved visits for them both.
It's not really fair in my opinion, because like all my cousins and all my other family members, like even ones that are my age, are allowed to go see my dad, but I'm not allowed to.
IPPs, or imprisonment for public protections, were designed to be given to serious offenders whose crimes didn't warrant a whole life sentence. Offenders would be given a minimum term they would serve in prison, but no maximum. The problem is IPPs were given out far more widely than initially anticipated, and in many cases they were given to people who had committed low-level crimes. Many of these people have been in prison well beyond the minimum term they were meant to serve, and they often feel they have no hope of being released. IPP prisoners must first prove that they are no longer a danger to the public and need to complete certain rehabilitation courses. But family members like Roddy, whose brother has been in prison for 14 years for making a threat to kill, says this can be almost impossible.
There weren't enough courses available to do. And when courses were available with slots on them, the prisoners were actually fighting amongst themselves and sabotaging each other so that they could get on these courses to prove to the parole board that they're safe to be released.
The plight of IPP prisoners has been criticised by the European Court of Human Rights and now by the UN.
I do think this is one of the most scandalous stories in the British justice system in a long while. The psychological effects on the individuals would amount, in my opinion, depending on an individual assessment, to psychological torture.
Even once IPP prisoners are released, they're on licence for at least 10 years, with strict conditions, which makes them vulnerable to being recalled.
I do pack a bag every week to go to probation because you always feel like you're going to get caught short and get recalled, even though you're not involved in anything.
Anthony was released from prison in February after serving 16 years for a threat to kill. He's been recalled 3 times previously.
The first one was because I was accused of a robbery in the area. They actually got the lad what did it a few days after my recall, so I got put back in custody for that. All charges were clearly dropped against me, but again I had to wait another 9 months. When I see a prison van going past me, or when I go past a police station, or I see a cop car, sometimes I go, they're coming for me. Now there's no justification for that whatsoever. The lows you go to when you start thinking that I've attempted suicide 3 times. You know, I got to such a point where I was like, I don't want to live no more. This, you know, with this thing's literally become a death sentence for some people.
IPPs were introduced by Labour's David Blunkett when he was Home Secretary, something which he now regrets.
We've now got more people in prison on IPP because they've been recalled from their licence conditions than we have who have never been released. And we're going to reach a very silly situation where, for very small reasons, the recall conditions end up with a very, very large cohort who simply go in and out, the revolving door. That has to be broken. Otherwise, people just don't have the chance to restore their lives.
For the families of IPP prisoners, there is some hope, as MPs are putting forward an amendment in the forthcoming Victims and Prisoners Bill calling for IPP prisoners to be resentenced. The question is whether Justice Secretary Alex Chalk will now back it. A Ministry of Justice spokesperson said, "These offenders were deemed a serious risk to the public, and we make no apologies for putting public protection first by ensuring that each release is properly assessed by the parole board." While the crimes committed by some IPP prisoners warrant their long sentences, many families are desperate for their loved ones' cases to be reviewed, as their health can deteriorate as the years go on.
He was filthy dirty. I couldn't have a coherent conversation with him. I mean, how terrible is it that I didn't recognise my own brother? I came out of that visit and I felt really quite, I'm emotional now just reliving that.
It may be 11 years since IPPs were abolished, but for thousands of families around the country, they continue to be a never-ending sentence. Alice Porter, Sky News.
Well, earlier, HM Chief Inspector of Prisons Charlie Taylor told Sky News that many IPP prisoners are unable to access courses in order to prove to the parole board they're able to be released, leaving many in despair.
Well, we'd like to see if a sentence plan has an accredited programme on it, then it has to be offered to that prisoner. And putting prisoners in prisons which aren't offering those programmes just seems to us a way of adding to the despair of IPP prisoners. We know the suicide rate, very sadly, for those prisoners is more than double what it is for other prisoners. There is a real sense of despair amongst many of those people who can barely remember the original offence that they committed, often more than 10 years ago.
Well, at 10:30, I'll be speaking more about this topic with the Deputy Director of the Prison Reform Trust, Mark Day. 10:30 for that one. Now, a 17-year-old boy will appear in front of a youth court today after being charged with the murder of 15-year-old Eliane Andam. She was killed on Wednesday while on her way to school in South London. Well, 15-year-old Eliane Andam was stabbed in the neck with a foot-long knife on her way to school in Croydon. Last night, members of the community held a vigil to remember the teenager. In a statement, Eliane's family said she was the light of our lives. She was bright and funny, with many friends who all adored her. Well, our correspondent Ivor Bennett is in Croydon in South London for us this morning. And Ivor, there really has been quite an extraordinary response to this. It continues today. What's the mood? Well, the mood is very sombre, as you imagine, in Croydon. Flowers continue to be left on the spot where Eliane was killed, not far from here. There's a real mountain of tributes even on that spot where she was stabbed to death after stepping off a bus on her way to school. And it really underlines the impact her death has had on the community here. And whilst that's happening, we've had this news and this update from the police that a 17-year-old boy has been charged now with her murder. As I say, 2 days on from when she was killed. He cannot be named for legal reasons, but we're told that he will be appearing at court this morning at this court here. This is Croydon Magistrates Court, but he'll be appearing in a youth court, which is sitting here. And this follows 2 days of questioning by the police. He was arrested shortly after Eliane was killed, and now police gave this update this morning. The statement from the Metropolitan Police reads, a 17-year-old boy will appear in court charged with the murder of 15-year-old Eliane Andam in Croydon. He has been charged with murder and possession of a knife. The statement went on to say, on Thursday the 28th of September, so yesterday, police recovered a knife in Cedar Road, Croydon. Now, Cedar Road is around half a mile from the spot where Eliane was killed, and that followed an extensive police investigation, several forensic experts scouring for clues. CCTV was also looked at by detectives as part of their investigation. And then on that spot where she was killed last night, there was a vigil where several of Eliane's friends and family came together in her memory. As you can probably imagine, there were hugely emotional scenes there, lots of tears as people embraced and said prayers. And the Bishop of Croydon read a statement on behalf of Eliane's family in which they said, well, they described her as a beautiful person inside and out, and they said they were overwhelmed with sorrow and grief. She was just 15, of course. She had just entered her GCSEs, and now, as I say, a 17-year-old boy has been charged with her murder, and he'll appear in court later today.
Ivor, thanks so much for that. Ivor Bennett. Well, the current Parliament will have overseen the largest set of tax rises since the Second World War, according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies. The think tank estimates that the tax burden will rise to around 37% of national income by the next general election. That equates to approximately £3,500 extra a year per household. Treasury Minister Andrew Griffith told Sky News the government wants to see lower levels of taxation, but said instead the focus should be on bringing down inflation.
We're very, very clear about our priority right now, and it's good to be focused and be clear about what matters. Right now, that priority is bearing down on inflation, cost of living, allowing people to their household budgets to go further because they're not seeing that steady increase in prices. That plan is working. We've got to stick with that. We've got to push that across the finishing line.
Sky political correspondent Rob Powell joins me now. And Rob, clearly the argument about lowering inflation has some validity to it, though it won't reduce the tax burden. Lower inflation will just slow the rate at which the tax burden is rising, all else equal. And we don't really want to get into deflation for other reasons. The question, I guess, is whether headlines like this from the IFS right ahead of the Conservative Party conference are going to increase the pressure on the Prime Minister and the Chancellor.
Oh yeah, for I think a glum group of generally low tax loving Tories, stories like this are not going to lift their mood at all, because what the Institute for Fiscal Studies, widely respected independent group of economists, are saying is basically that since 2019 this Parliament has been increasing the amount of tax the government takes in more than at any point since records began in 1948, just after the war. In terms of why what taxes are going up? Well, of course, we've seen corporation tax go up, we've seen the energy profits levy, but one really big ticket item that is bringing in a real serious amount of revenue at the moment is the freeze to those income tax and national insurance thresholds. So not an increase to the sort of headline rate of tax, but when you've got large pay rises in a high inflationary environment, it means lots of people are getting bumped up into higher tax brackets. So at the moment, that is bringing in a lot of money to the Exchequer. In terms of what the IFS says this is being driven by, well, clearly the government will point to global factors like COVID and the pandemic, but I think what's crucial is the IFS says that's not the full story, that actually they believe this isn't some kind of temporary springback from the pandemic to pay for that. They see this as a permanent and definite shift to a higher tax country, being driven by increased government spending on things like the NHS and pensions, which is in turn being driven by demographic change. So I think that's what makes this difficult for the government, because going forward, even though Andrew Griffith didn't want to talk about it then, the working assumption is that there will be some kind of tax giveaway from the government ahead of the next general election. But I think the message you get from the IFS is that if you're going to cut taxes like that in this kind of context and environment, you're going to have to say where that money comes from, what the state does less of or doesn't do at all. I think for Labour, it puts them in a tight spot as well. We had the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury on this morning, and I thought he gave the clearest indication yet that Labour may well stick to the broad tax and spending plans the government sets out when they go into the next election. So if Labour wants to try and campaign on change and strengthening public services, it is going to need to either make a convincing argument about reform without spending much money, or it's going to need to find other places to get that money from, such as we've been talking about this week, putting VAT on school fees. But as you say, politically, I think this is awkward timing. Clearly, what the ministers and Labour will both talk about is sort of the magic ingredient of growth as the way to spend more money on public services without putting taxes up. But clearly, from the Liz Truss period in government, we know it's far easier to talk about getting growth than actually achieving it.
Rob Powell, thanks so much as ever for us in Westminster. Now, sticking with the topic of the UK economy, it grew faster than expected between January and March this year, according to newly revised figures. The Office for National Statistics believes GDP rose by 0.3% in the first 3 months of the year, up from the previous estimate of 0.1%. It means the UK economy is now expected to have grown by 1.8% between the final quarter of 2019, before the pandemic hit, and the second quarter of this year. Their estimate for Q2 GDP, the most recent completed quarter, did not change. Our business presenter Ian King has more on these numbers and revisions from the city.
We already knew that the UK economy grew more rapidly than expected in 2021. That followed an upward revision from the Office for National Statistics at the beginning of the month. They also said at that time that the economy did not contract by as much as previously thought in 2020, which was obviously the year of the pandemic. But what's they've added to that today, the Q2 GDP figure remained unchanged. The ONS confirmed that the economy grew by 0.2% in April, May and June, but they've revised the January to March figures for this year. That was previously thought to have come in at 0.1% growth. Well, they've raised that today to 0.3%. And what that means in total, Anna, and this is probably the big headline, is that the economy, as at the end of June this year, was 1.8% larger than it was going into the pandemic. Now, you will recall, of course, previously the UK was seen as the sort of back marker in the G7, the only G7 economy not to have got back to the size it was prior to the pandemic. Well, it turns out now, according to the Office for National Statistics, the UK economy grew by more than either France or Germany in that period in terms of its pre-pandemic size. So the UK economy now 1.8% larger than it was going into the pandemic. The French economy, by contrast, up by 1.7%. Germany up by only 0.2%. So Germany is now really markedly placed as the back marker in the G7, the UK coming ahead of both France and Germany. However, there are still other G7 economies that have done better than the UK: Japan, Canada and Italy. And of course, the economy that's really shown everyone else a clean pair of heels is the United States, which is now 6.1% larger than it was going into the pandemic.
For us in the city, we have a little bit of breaking news to bring you. A school bus has overturned in a crash on the M53 in Merseyside. Calday Grange Grammar School in West Kirby on the Wirral confirmed the incident involved one of its school buses, one of its coaches. The motorway has been closed in both directions between junction 5 Ellesmere Port and junction 4 Bebington. It's not yet known if there have been any injuries. We'll bring you further updates when we have them. Now, the chief executive of GB News says on-air remarks by Lawrence Fox about a female journalist went way past the limits of acceptance. The actor turned pundit has apologised to Ava Evans and says he expects to be sacked. He and host Dan Wootton are being investigated by the broadcaster after thousands of complaints to Ofcom.
Well, that comment should not have gone to air, and that should have been properly challenged. We were well aware of what was said, and we took immediate action off the back of it.
Okay.
And what happened after that is subject of what we're looking into right now.
I know what you say.
I do not in any way want to prejudice the process which we've got through, but I will say, Amal, that should not have happened.
Sure. No, well, clearly you think that should have happened because you suspended Mr. Fox.
The way it was handled was also not the way it should have been handled.
More on that story as well when we get it, expecting further developments today. Just want to bring you some further breaking news. The story I'm sure you'll remember from earlier in the day that a famous and historic sycamore tree was felled overnight in what was described as a deliberate act of vandalism. And Northumbria police are saying right now a 16-year-old male was arrested in connection with the incident. He has since been released on police bail pending further inquiries. More on that to come. Now, the energy price cap comes down this weekend. That should mean average annual bills fall by 7% from just above £2,000 to just below it. But prices are still expected to be around 13% more expensive on average than they were last winter. A coalition of more than 140 organisations, including Age UK and Citizens Advice, are calling on the government to give more help to vulnerable households.
This winter is going to be harder for most households than last winter in terms of energy costs. The price caps come down, but bills are 50% higher than they were at the start of the crisis. 30% increase just in this price cap announcement alone, and that's because government has stopped the support. So we're in a situation where millions of households are simply unaffordable for them to keep their homes warm and safe. The safety net that was there has gone away, so we need government to step in with an enduring solution.
You're watching Sky News Today. Lots more still to come on the show. Downing Street refuses to deny reports it's preparing to limit English councils from introducing more 20-mile-per-hour speed limit zones. I'll be discussing with the Prison Reform Trust Sky News' investigation into indefinite sentences, and find out what happened when a baseball fan tried to bring his emotional support alligator to a game.
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
The economy.
Health. Security.
Education. Immigration. Stability.
Cost of living. Our futures. Whatever the issues facing you, we want to find out what's really going on in the UK. We will always put people at the heart of the story on the UK Tonight with me, Sarah Jane Mee, on Sky News.
There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation, analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. Alex Crawford joining us now from Ukraine.
Their personal possessions are all scattered around the place.
Our economics and data editor, Ed Conway, try and make sense of the big numbers for us.
Things can change incredibly quickly, and that's what they have done.
So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Inzamam Rashid and I'm Sky's North of England correspondent, telling stories from this culturally rich region I call home.
Welcome back. We brought you some breaking news earlier of a blast that had killed around 50 people in Pakistan, in Baluchistan. Well, we're just getting news of a further blast in Pakistan, this one near Peshawar city during Friday prayers at a mosque once again. This is just coming in, this news, and we understand around 30 to 40 people stuck under the rubble. No further confirmation of exactly their status yet, but to remind you, it comes after at least 52 people were killed in a bombing near a mosque in Mastung in the province of Baluchistan. Now getting reports of a second mosque collapsing in a blast near Peshawar city, and some 30 to 40 people around that area thought to be stuck under the rubble at that second blast. Those pictures we just show you there were relating to the first one earlier today. We'll bring you more when we have it. Downing Street isn't denying a report that the Prime Minister will move to stop English councils from introducing new 20-mile-per-hour speed limits. Let's get the latest on this from our political correspondent Gurpreet Narwan, who joins me now. Gurpreet, we've obviously seen the Prime Minister move to offer some what are seen perhaps as voter-pleasing measures as it relates to motorists of late. This one perhaps likely to have more broad appeal.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is expected to announce these policies at the Tory party conference in Manchester at the weekend. They include, as you said, plans to reduce the number of low traffic neighbourhoods. As part of that, he also wants to reduce the number of roads that are blocked off with barriers, and to help motorists challenge parking fines. The plan includes proposals to curb local authorities' powers to levy fines and to increase bus lane usage times for drivers. It's a move that will probably provoke some frustration from local authority leaders, because it represents another hit to their revenues at a time when they are already struggling with their finances. It will probably also provoke frustration from the environmental wing of his party. It comes a week after the Prime Minister scaled back key environmental pledges. That ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles has been delayed to 2035. And shortly afterwards, former cabinet minister and president of COP26, Alok Sharma, announced that he would be resigning as an MP from his constituency in Reading West. But Rishi Sunak clearly believes that these types of policies could bolster the Conservatives' support in the polls. It appears to have worked in Uxbridge, West London, where the Conservatives were able to capitalise on frustration over the ULEZ expansion to win the by-election. And Rishi Sunak clearly hopes that this will be a winning formula that he can replicate across the country.
Gurpreet, thanks so much. Lots on the agenda ahead of conference season, of course, and Sky News is the place for full coverage of that. Right, let's have a quick look at the weather.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
The outlook remains changeable with further wet and windy spells, interspersed with brighter, showery interludes and a very warm start to October. Most places will be bright and breezy today with plenty of sunny spells once early morning rain clears the southeast. Scattered showers will affect the north and west, and temperatures will be near to average. These showers will be most frequent and possibly thundery across the north of Scotland, where it will also be windy with coastal gales. Blustery showers will continue in the north overnight, otherwise it's mostly dry with chilly clear spells. And the odd mist or fog patch cloud will thicken across Ireland, with rain or drizzle moving into the southwest later. Much of Britain will have a bright start on Saturday, but skies will quickly turn cloudy from the west as outbreaks of rain spread from Ireland through the day. Southern parts of England and northern Scotland should stay mostly dry overnight. That is your weather.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
You're watching Sky News today. Still to come, we'll look at more why people are still languishing on indefinite sentences, even though they've been abolished.
Enterprise is sparking opportunities by helping people develop the skills to get into work. Building digital confidence and helping entrepreneurs connect, innovate and grow.
The family, the Christian community, friends and loved ones of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends and loved ones and all sympathizers to a one-week observation at the Numa Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, postcode CR040D. The event will take place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Buses 466 and 463 ply that route. And if you want to travel on a tram, Beddington Lane is a stop for you. Also, there's going to be free parking there. For further information, please contact Evelyn on 075 5483 8421, Kojo 073 7592 8737, or Sheila on 079 8358 1818. Come and mourn with us, even as we celebrate the lives of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako. God bless you and see you all there.
Money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired. Yes. How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Star Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Star Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
The best radio show.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Star Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. We don't go nowhere. UK, London. We call them London for home. For here, we call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The coolest way to start your weekend. The best radio show.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio. This is UK. Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
That's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Friday edition of the morning show. Today is the 29th day of September, the last but one day of September. Tomorrow is the last day of September. And I want to welcome you to the final program for this September. Yes. So next time I come on air, it will be October, right? Yes. Well, I'm confusing you. Well, it is the Friday edition of the morning show. Once again, let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. Salute each and every one of you. So welcome to the show. Let me also say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Mr. Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. Please, hey, good morning to you. I hope you are doing very well. Kojo, good morning to you. Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, I salute you, man of God. And let me say good morning to Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama. It's a young winter free year. I salute you, sir. I never hear you say, Michia, woman, my watch. And all the way in.
You make a dog and that's what
South Africa, let me say good morning to Eben and Chantel there as well, and all the team on the ground there. Good morning to you. Let me also say good morning to Olakunle, good morning. My Bishop Adesina, good morning. Pastor Mo, good morning to you. A special good morning also goes to the one and only Anthony Adedeji. Aziz, good morning. Sir Maxwell, where you are, I salute each and every one of you. And I once again say, welcome to the Friday edition once again. Well, if you've had some of tuning in on the program on Friday morning, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. We'll move from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. It's known as Global Trotting. We'll continue from there and look at some of the other stories making the rounds across the globe. Notably in Nigeria, with updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. That's at 11 o'clock. And then we'll continue from there and look at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. It continues from there until 12 o'clock when the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. We'll be looking at all the other stories. But before then, if you have any comments or anything that you want to be sharing or anything, feel free. Just put it on our platforms that we are broadcasting on. But the program continues from then. Exactly at 12:30, we'll bring the first part of the program to close, and then we'll take you to Kent, where our money man is Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services, who will be coming your way with the money hour at 12:30. So in the gist, that's what's going to happen today. But wherever you are, don't touch the dial. You know what you have to do? Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. But once again, let me say welcome. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Okie dokie do. Now the quote for the day says, you cannot continue living a normal life and expect to birth something new and be successful. So you do the extraordinary and then you can actually birth. Let me say good morning to my baby sister Delta. I hope you are doing very, very well. How is Kumasi and how is everybody there? I salute you. Love you lots. Okay, let's crack on. Now let's look at the weather for today. It's quite interesting. The weather, the way it's been. We're supposed to be in autumn now, but things seem to be turning a bit. It's a bit warmer today though, but let's see.
Love for you.
Okay, so for those of us in London and the southeast of England, you want to share with us what is happening in your area across the globe, feel free to do so. Now we're going to be seeing this afternoon any early cloud clearing away. Today will be dry with extensive sunshine to start. Now staying sunny and dry into the afternoon, but a few light patches of cloud may develop for a time. Tonight will be dry and there will be extensively clear skies to start. Through the early hours, patchy areas of cloud will start to drift in from the west in the places. My apologies. A calm night expected though. Atomic temperature is going to be 20 degrees. The lowest is going to be 9 degrees. Pollen level out of it. UV level moderate pollution is going to be low. Sunset is going to be 1844 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 0657 hours. Well, but when it comes to the weekend weather for you, let's look at Saturday. What have we got in stock for you on Saturday? Well, so on Saturday we're going to be having a mixture of sunshine and cloud. It's going to be like same like today, but top temperature is going to be 20 degrees and the lowest is going to be 14 degrees, a bit milder. Then come Sunday, it's going to be a bit warmer there, 24 degrees tops, and the lowest is going to be exactly 15 degrees. It's going to be sunny. There's going to be sunny intervals and a gentle breeze there as well. So that brings us straight to the end of the weather forecast. I worship you. Okay, let's take a quick break. There's a breaking news that I need to bring your way this morning pertaining to an accident that has happened. But let's quickly take this break and I bring that your way. Stay tuned and don't you go away. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The family, the Christian community, friends and loved ones of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends and loved ones and all sympathizers to a one-week observation at the Numa Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, postcode CR040D. The event will take place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Buses 466 and 463 ply that route. And if you want to travel on a tram, Beddington Lane is a stop for you. Also, there's going to be free parking there. For further information, please contact Evelyn on 075-5483-8421, Kojo 073-7592-8737, or Sheila on 079-8358-1818. Come and mourn with us, even as we celebrate the lives of the late Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako. God bless you and see you all there. Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to 10:50. Very well at 10:50, but let me bring you the travel update. A quick one from there. And as I said earlier on, there is a breaking news. Let me bring that breaking news your way. Breaking news. Now, school bus full of children overturns on the motorway. Emergency services, including an air ambulance, are sent to the crash on site on the M53 in Merseyside. Well, I'll be bringing you more details about that during the course of the program. So just stay with us. Just stay with us while the program continues. This Starr Radio UK. So your travels and what is happening there. Well, for those of you using the major roads in London this morning, for those of you in Croydon, well, the Wellesley Road has now been cleared due to the death of the stabbing that took place last Tuesday? Yes. So everything is cleared now, so you can come through that place easily. But on the major roads in London, A316 has got serious delays. If you can avoid it, do your best to do so. Now, on the London Underground this morning, the Piccadilly line has got minor delays between Acton Town and Uxbridge due to train cancellation. Good service on the rest of the line, though. All the other underground lines are running a good service there. The London Overground has got severe delays, so check before you leave. Also, the London Tramlink are running a good service. Starr Radio UK. Now, on the river this morning, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that's got reduced service, all the others are running a very good service there as well. The London Cable Car is also running a good service. And that brings us straight to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, C2C, Chiltern Railways, Cross Country, East Midlands Railway, First Haul Trains, Gatwick Express, Grand Central, Great Northern, Great Western Railway, Greater Anglia Island Line, London North Eastern Railway, Lumo, ScotRail, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern Railway, Southern and Thameslink have all got special service and minor delays there. So please check before you leave. And I will say it once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Archie on Starr Radio. Nobody does it better.
Welcome back to the program. Now let's move on straight to the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Well, so on Global Trotting this morning, what have I got in stock for you? Now, indefinite strike, Labour protests as federal government threatens union leaders with contempt charge. Now, remember that contempt charge that was leveled against them, and the government said, well, we want them to come so that we can talk, and therefore decided to backtrack on that. Well, they're saying that we're going to, unless, of course, they've taken them to the courts again to say that you cannot embark on the strike, and now, because they are doing so. So we'll be following very closely. Yomi will be telling us more about that. Now, more about Lagos police arrest Sam Larry. Has Sam Larry got something to do with Mohbad's death? Well, we'll tell you more about that. Omahi locks out workers. Protesters cite hardship for lateness. You know, interestingly, people are working and for 2 months they've not received their remuneration. Okay, maybe 3 months, and then 3 months, then they give them 1 month payment. Now, how do you expect the people to travel from their homes to that place? How do you expect the people to survive? That's why I say it all the time, that our system is in default position, set up to corrupt people. So if you're not corrupt, you cannot live in the system. But what do you think? More are going to be coming your way. Igbos are divided people. Southeast no longer has solidarity. Okonjo Iweala is saying there as well. And Group wants Tinubu to intervene